Today is an affordable makeup day and I'm going to be trialling some products including number 7, e.l.f., Wet n Wild, Maybelline and Physicians Formula. Hello and welcome or welcome back, and especially warm welcome to my fantastic new subscribers. Thank you so much for putting your faith in me. I really appreciate it. Now, some of these products are so new that I haven't actually opened the packaging yet, but a couple of them I have tried before, but only very briefly. So without further ado, let me pin my hair back. Still haven't got used to my fringe yet, and actually it's growing quite a lot, so it does need a little trim, but I tried to trim it myself last time. I'm not going to do that again because I don't think I made a very good job of it. Now, just to let you know, I've got my skincare on. Now, those of you who watch my channel regularly will know that I've just done a video about skincare I'm not going to be using. So I've gone back to some of my old favourites like the Vitamin C by Paula's Choice and a fairly new to me sunscreen by Beauty of Joseon, which I absolutely love, plus my moisturiser by Eucerin in the middle. So I've got the Vitamin C, the moisturiser and then the sunscreen, and that's all I've got on my face. So what we're going to do, I think, is we're going to start with a primer, and I'm going to use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, but it's not the putty. Well, it is putty, but it's in a liquid formula. And the idea behind this is it says it's silky, lightweight and seamlessly glides over your skin. It's cruelty-free and vegan, and it's £9.49. I've forgotten what the dollar price is, but I'll pop it on the screen now. And I thought we'd try this because the next product we're going to use is a skin tint, and I'm not sure, because I've tried the skin tint yesterday for the first time, I'm not sure it's giving me enough coverage, and I thought maybe it'd be worth trying a primer underneath. I don't know whether that makes any sense really, but what I thought we might do, it might also help the longevity of it. So what I thought we'd do today is I'll put the primer on one side, no primer on the other, and when I apply the skin tint, I'll just show you on one side first. I hope that makes sense. Right, let's crack on with the primer. Now, I have tried this, as I say, a couple of times before, and I preferred it to the putty primer, the original, which I think comes in a jar, which I didn't really get on with. So it's liquidy, it's very slightly tinted as well, but I don't think it actually tints the skin. So I'll pop it on my right side and I'll just apply it. Oh, it feels lovely and silky. In the camera, it's looking like it's giving a slightly pinky sheen, but if I look in the mirror, I'm not sure I can see that really, but anyway, the proof of the pudding will be in the watching it back, won't it? Now, shall I put some on my forehead? I don't think I will. I think we'll just stick to the bottom half of the face. Anyway, it feels lovely. There is a slightly strange smell to it, but I'm not sure what that is. But all the products that I use are completely unfragranced because I cannot wear fragrance products. If you're new to my channel, I'm allergic to any fragrance. Well, I'm allergic to specific fragrances, but sometimes in skincare or in makeup, they just put the word fragrance or parfum. They don't actually describe what's in the fragrance, but I know the specific ingredients as well, so I can spot them a mile away. And very annoyingly, I'm also allergic to anything with vanilla in it. I mean, I can eat vanilla to my heart's content, but I can't put it on my skin. Right, the skin tint we're going to use today is by number 7. And do you know, I haven't used a number 7 product for probably at least a year, if not a year and a half. Now, this is HydraLuminous Aqua-release Skin Perfector, and I have it in the shade Light. It's £14.35 or $10.99 in dollars. Now, this apparently provides up to 8 hours of hydration with a sheer to light coverage that melts seamlessly into the skin like a lotion or colour correcting cream with a subtle tint. And it is particularly suitable to mature skins, which is good because my skin is 69.5 years old now, so that's pretty mature, I'd say. So what we'll do, now I forgot to write down how many shades it's in, but I think it's about 4, but I'll pop it on the screen anyway so you've got all the info. So it comes in a tube. Ooh. And there it is. That's called Light, but I don't know. It's sort of light medium, I would call that, certainly on my hand anyway. Now what I'm going to do is I'll do this side. This is the side with the primer, so I'm going to do this side, my left, your right, just to show you the difference between one side and the other, just for comparison. And I think I'm going to apply it with, I applied it with a brush yesterday. Yeah, let's go with a brush anyway. Just pick up a bit more. Let's go with the brush. See, I think that is a very nice natural application, quite skin-like, I would say. I'll pop it down here. And we're just going to do this just for a quick comparison so you can see what my skin looks like. Well, it'll have the primer on one side, but I don't know whether that counts for anything, but we'll compare anyway. Compare and contrast like we did in essay writing, that's what we'll do. So here we've got the natural side, although it does have the primer on it, and here we've got the skin tint side. So I think there is a visible difference between this side and that side, wouldn't you say? It's definitely a light coverage because you can see this is how I always tell. I have a blemish here, which I'm, to be honest, not bothered about covering up, but this is definitely not covered in any way. I don't think it's buildable. I tried that yesterday, but we'll put a bit more on anyway because we're going to put some on this side as well. So let's pop a bit more on. Ooh, oh dear, I did a bit too much of a glob there. Ah, the sun's coming out. Honestly, this morning I woke up at about 6. It was absolutely pelting down with rain. I suppose it is April, so what do we expect? And last night it was sheeting it down as well. But I try to have some natural light. In fact, probably what's happened is you probably got a surge of light just then. But I've got artificial light here, but I've also got a window over here. And as I say, the sun has just come out, which is lovely. And actually on that subject of natural light, I'm going to try and do an all-day wear test, but it just depends. Let's just build up a bit more on this side actually. Just depends on what happens today because my sister-in-law is visiting us. She's arriving this afternoon. So I'll see what I can do. I'll definitely take some footage anyway, but whether I am able to come back and give you a full report, I'm not sure. But anyway, be assured you will get some report back, even if I put it on the screen, because that is part of what I want to do today and to be helpful to you to see whether you think it's worth trying any of these products. Now, what do we think of that coverage? I think that's looking pretty good. In fact, it's better than when I applied it yesterday. I don't know whether there's any appreciable difference between the primer side and the foundation, but I'm really, really liking that application. And actually it does seem to have worked applying a second coat, as it were, because I think it has built up the coverage a bit, and I think my blemish is actually much less visible. And I'm really liking that shade as well. I think it's a pretty good shade match for me, even though, as I say, it's rather misleadingly called light. Now, the next product we're going to try is the Maybelline Eraser Concealer, and I actually have it in 3 different shades, partly because I got a dark shade first and a pinky one, which I'll tell you about in a sec, and then I got a lighter one. So I've actually got it in 6, 5 and 2. So let me pop my glasses on and swatch them for you before I put them on my eyes. Now, I've been watching quite a lot of videos, I don't know whether you have, about how to apply concealer, and they all slightly differ. And actually Glam Girl Gabby's one was quite good, and that was more about colour correcting. So in a way, I think what we're going to try and do is sort of amalgamate all these different videos together. So let me tell you a little bit about it. This concealer is infused with something called haloxyl, which sounds rather good, but I don't know what it actually does. I'll have to Google it. It costs £7 or £8.80, and apparently, according to Amazon, it's America's #1 concealer. Now, it also suggests you can use it in multiple shades to contour and highlight, but I'm not going to do that. But I suppose that's partly why it comes in a pink shade. But anyway, let's see if we can colour correct with the pinky one, just because that's the shade we've got. So I think what I'll do, I'm just going to see if I can get it off. I'm actually just going to use the applicator because otherwise it's such a faff. So let's just pop a bit on there. We'll try and come on the inner corner as well, like so. And then I'm going to get my little mini beauty blender, which one of my lovely subscribers suggests I use a small beauty blender. I don't know why I hadn't thought of doing that before when I'm doing my under eyes. Right, we're going with the 06 now, and I'm just going to dab that on. Yeah, that's not a bad colour. It's not super light, but it's okay. There we are. And then I'm going to put some on my lid as well, because I think it was Gabby who suggested using your concealer. I mean, not that, you know, we've all done it anyway, on our lids to mattify them and make, I mean, she was sort of talking about it all being of a piece, if you know what I mean. So your whole eye area which I kind of understand really. It does make sense, doesn't it? So let's do that. Get my sponge. See, I can immediately see there's some creasing there, but I think that happens quite a lot with a lot of my concealers. Hopefully the powder application will help to smooth that out. Right, that's the concealer. Now on to powder. And we're going to be using a powder. Now I have used this in a video before, but I haven't really talked about it. And it's the Wet n Wild Photofocus Translucent Loose Powder. It's cruelty-free and vegan, and it costs $6.95 or $6.49. It's silky, weightless and translucent, creating a soft focus effect to subtly blur the look of fine lines and imperfections, which of course is what we want. So there it is. I'm going to pop a little bit in the tin, I think, if I can. I always struggle with this a bit. Right, there we are, just so that I don't get too much on my powder puff. And I'll use one of these little velour puffs. I love these actually. So we'll pop a bit in there. And then, just to make sure we don't get too much, we'll just tap it off like that. And then we will apply it to the under eye and see how we get on. Well, actually, we're going to apply it on the lid as well because, as Gabby says, we're going to make it all of a piece. All one seamless application, she says, hopefully. Well, actually, it's not looking too bad. Now those three little lines, I don't know if you can see them, are still there, those three little creases, but is anyone going to get that close up? I don't think so. And then we'll come down here a bit as well, because I am starting to be a bit combination-y, again, like I used to be years ago, certainly on camera anyway. So we just want to mattify down here a bit, that's better. Oh yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now there is a bit of settling around the nose. I noticed that yesterday. I'm just going to zoom you in to show you what I mean. Can you see? But whether that's the skin tint or whether that's just my skin creating that, I don't know. But it's something to be aware of anyway. Now to a really exciting bit. I'm so looking forward to trying this. I have got the most fabulous palette by Morphe, and I haven't tried a Morphe palette for so long. In fact, I've only got one Morphe palette, which I bought about 2.5 years ago. Not long after I started my channel, maybe 3 years. And I absolutely love that palette, but this one is really quite different. It's smaller. It's a £9 palette, and this is it. So it is the Vintage Rose Artistry 9-pan palette, and it costs £14 or $14. And look at these absolutely stunning shades. Oh my goodness me, I am so excited. And starting from my left, your right, we've got on row 1, that's Classic, which is a matte cream, Blossom, which is a matte dusty mauve, Flourish, which is a shimmering ice pink. And then in the second row, this one here, we've got Perfin Pink, which is a matte peony pink with sparkle, Retro Woe, which is a shimmering golden mauve, and Rose Bold, which is a matte dusty rose. And in row 3, we've got Legend Has It, which is a shimmering rosy bronze, Petal Play, which is a matte rosy taupe, and Forget Me Not, which is a matte rich cocoa. Now, how did I come across this? Well, I was looking for some pinky shade palettes. I was looking for something that was a bit spring-like. And in Selfridges in central London, they've actually got a Morphe counter. And so I thought I'd go in and actually try them, because one of the palettes I was interested in was the Tom Ford, I think it's called Iconic something, which is 75 quid. I mean, that's just, it's just ridiculous price. But I thought, well, I'll go in and try that because I'd seen it on Michelle Wong and it looked beautiful. But honestly, the pigment was rubbish. The bloke behind the counter said, oh, well, you can wet it. But I mean, I don't want that. I want decent pigment. I like a strong pigment. I don't want to be paying 75 quid from some sort of delicate pigment. I want something with real oomph. Anyway, so I thought, well, I'll forget that and I'll go and check this Morphe palette out. And for 14 quid, I thought, well, that's pretty good. Anyway, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, but I did swatch one or two while I was in there and they looked really fantastic. So I haven't actually decided which shades we're going to do. Well, I have decided on one shade. I'm going to use this very dark shade here for an eyeliner, as it were, with a very thin brush. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one on my lid, and then maybe that one above in the crease. I know that's very contrary because most people do a lighter colour on the lid and a darker colour in the crease, but I like it the other way around. So I'm going to use this Real Techniques brush. I love this little brush. I've had it for years. So we're going to go in with this one, which is the Matte Dusty Rose Bold. So we'll tap that off, and we're just going to put it on the lid, on the mobile lid. I mean, did we ever call our lids mobile lids before YouTube? That's what I want to know. All these strange terms that we've suddenly learnt to use on a regular basis. If we tried to talk to people who weren't interested in makeup about the mobile lid, would they know what we were on about? I don't know. One of the reasons I like the look of this palette was because it has got some shimmers, but it's not got too many. It's got plenty of mattes. Now we've had a tiny bit of fallout, but not much. So the next shade we're going to go into is this one. And that one was called, what was it called? Called Blossom. I'm going to put this in the crease. I suppose it's a bit like doing a kind of halo. Halo. I was listening to that yesterday in the car. Beyonce, in case you didn't know. Good song, actually. Very good song. Apparently it was originally written for Leona Lewis, but she declined it for some reason. Don't know why, because it is a good song, but I mean, Beyonce does sing it beautifully, I must say. Right, now we're going to go in with this chocolate one here, which is called Forget Me Not, a rich cocoa. And I'm going to apply this on the base of my lashes on my mobile lid. I may not be able to talk to you while I do this because I do find this quite tricky. Well, I really like that. It's a bit sort of chocolate and raspberry ice cream, isn't it? Just noticed my roots need doing. I should have put my colour wow there. Right, on to mascara. And as you can see, I haven't even opened the packet of this one yet. And it is the L'Oreal Paris Voluminous Original Mascara in 360 Black, and it's $12.50 or $8.99 in dollars. And it says it builds lashes to 5 times their natural thickness in a single clump-free application. Right, let's see if this can make my lashes voluminous. So, okay, so it's quite a small brush. It's the classic sort of Christmas tree, but thinner than some of the brushes that I like to use. But let's see how it applies, and I'll bring you in. I mean, I know it's a little bit unfair sometimes to try a brand new mascara because they do tend to warm up after a couple of weeks, don't they? But let's see. So at the moment they're looking quite feathery and long, but I don't know whether I'd say they're voluminous quite yet. Well, I think that's very nice. I mean, I'd say this is probably a day-to-day mascara. I wouldn't call it voluminous, but I would call it lifted and separated and lengthened, let's put it that way. And as time goes on, in a couple of weeks, I might get a different sort of application, but I think that's pretty good. Now onto brows, and this is another package I haven't opened yet. And this is the Maybelline Builder Brow in 259 Ash Brown. Retails for $11.99 in pounds and $11.99 in dollars. Now this is a 2-in-1 eyebrow pencil and clear gel designed to sculpt and shape the look of brows. Now I'm hoping the ash brown won't be too dark. I am trying not to use a darker colour on my brows because quite a few of you said to me a few months ago that I was darkening them too much. So I'm not doing that. Now I'm trying to go lighter, although this is looking suspiciously dark. But anyway, let's have a look. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what's going on. So we've got this side, looks like the brow, it's a pen, okay. So I'm not great with these. It's a kind of a very thin pen on that side. Ooh. And then on the other side, it looks like a little, oh, well, we'll come to the other side in a minute. Let's do this side first. It looks like a little sort of applicator for the gel. Let's see what this colour is like. I'll zoom you in again. Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? Actually, what I like about this, although it's a very fine nib, as it were, at the end, it's actually nice and liquidy, so it's going on quite easily. It's not doing sort of harsh lines, which I like because I do find it quite tricky to do brows with a pen that's very sharp, if you know what I mean. I really love this applicator. It feels really easy to use. I think maybe this shade is a little bit dark for me, but we can live with it, can't we? I know we shouldn't try and make our brows come down. I always find that tricky because my brows naturally do come down, but we'll try and fluff them up with the gel. Okay, right, that's the pen side. Now let's look at the gel side. Let's have a look. Okay, so you want, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I see, right, okay. So you've got a little brush, a little tiny brush there, and this is your gel liquid in this little bottle here. Okay, that makes sense. That's really cute, isn't it? Right, so let's pop the gel on now. It's a cute little brush, this, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm really impressed with that. I think they look great. Let me zoom you in so you can get a good look. I think they look pretty good. I think that's an excellent little product. I really do. Look at that cute little brush. And then you pop that back on, screw this back. This would be brilliant for traveling, actually, wouldn't it? It's just ideal. Now, as I say, they are a little bit dark, but that's my fault for choosing the wrong shade. But I honestly think this little brow product is a winner. Right, let's go on to blusher now. And I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush. I have used a liquid blush before. It was just in my last video, actually, which was a sort of impromptu one where I talked about this brand that had approached me that I was really cross about. But I haven't talked about it before. In this one, I'm going to use the Suave Mauve because I think the other shade was slightly too warm for me. Now this is cruelty-free and vegan. It's $6.85 or $7. Can't remember how many shades it comes in, but I will pop that on the screen. Now I've historically shied away from liquid blushes because people often talk about how difficult they are to apply carefully. You can end up looking too clown-like. But I think if you are careful, and maybe if you put it on the back of your hand first and then pick up the colour that way, hopefully you shouldn't go too far wrong. Now let's show you the colour. Oh, look at that beautiful colour. It should go perfectly, I think, with the eyeshadow. So I'm going to pick some up with this BK Beauty brush, the 108. And the other one I used, by the way, the foundation brush, was the 101. And then being careful not to come too far down onto the apple of our cheeks. We're just going to pop it in this sort of motion like this. And then we'll use this kabuki brush to sheer it out a bit. That looks pretty good, don't you? It's not over the top, is it? I'm not using a bronzer today. I don't really feel in the mood for a bronzer. We're just going a bit pinky today. Now it's got a slight sheen to it, hasn't it? Which I really like. I think that's a beautiful colour. Can you see? I don't think you really need a highlighter because it's kind of got that sheen. It's absolutely beautiful in my opinion. And finally we come to lipstick, and I'm going to be using the Physicians Formula Diamond Last Mineral Wear Lip Cream. Now I have worn this in a video, but again I haven't really talked about it. It's £8.39 or $7.91 in dollars, and it's cruelty free. And it says that it's got mineral water and nourishing vitamin E to provide instant hydration to transform dull, dehydrated lips, leaving them smooth and soft to the touch. So it comes with a doe foot, a slanted doe foot. Now this is in the, I forgot to tell you what shade I'm in. What shade is this? Yeah, I don't know. Now I have this in the shade Rose Quartz. It's quite difficult for us in the UK to get hold of Physicians Formula products. You can probably get loads more in the States. But I think on Amazon there are only 2 shades, which is quite annoying. But there may be other ways of getting it, and I will of course list everything in the description box below and link them as well. I mean, it's a slightly warmer colour than the name would suggest, but I think it's very nice. I like the doe foot. It's very pliable, so it helps you to shape your lips. So it does feel like a liquid lipstick, but not as drying. So there we are. Let's put down our hair. So there we are. This is the finished look. Well, I'm not sure how helpful it was in retrospect putting a primer on one side under a skin tint, and I don't think there's any appreciable difference between the two, but I am really impressed with the skin tint at the moment. I think it looks natural, it looks skin-like, it's a good shade for me, I think. So I am really pleased with that. I think the eye palette is absolutely beautiful. It's right up my alley. It's got all the sort of shades that I really like, including lots of mattes, and it's reasonably priced. I think the blush is gorgeous. I love the lipstick, the powder, but I am particularly impressed with the brow product. I think it's fantastic. It's so easy to use. I wish I'd got a slightly lighter shade, so I will look into getting one of those because it's very reasonably priced. The mascara is fine, it's okay. It's an everyday mascara, and we'll report back in a few weeks to see how we're getting on with it. But again, it's a reasonably priced mascara and it's perfectly nice, just not exceptional. Oh, and the concealers, well, I think if you're after light coverage, they're fine. I'm not loving the sponge applicator, but it's okay, especially if you're going abroad and you don't want a heavy concealer, but it's probably a little bit on the light side for me. Like I say, I will do a wear test. I just may not come in at the end and finish off the video with it, but I'll put how I've got on with it about my day so that you can see how it's wearing, and the rest of the makeup as well, of course. So I'm really impressed with these products, actually. I think generally speaking, they're all very good and they are all affordable. Although you might question whether the Morphe palette is affordable at £14, but actually some of the other products are £14 as well. And I think a lot of YouTubers have discussed this lately, that affordable these days, or drugstore as was, isn't necessarily reflecting the cost of buying some of these products. I mean, Wet n Wild generally is pretty good, and Elf, I think Wet n Wild of all the brands is probably the cheapest. But again, it's not that easy for us in the UK to get hold of Wet n Wild as it is in the States. And Physicians Formula, I gather, is pretty affordable as well. But again, we can't get hold of those so easily here. Anyway, I really hope this video has been helpful to you, and do let me know down in the comments what you think of the products. Have you got any of them? Would you try any of them? And have you got any equivalents that you'd like to let us know about? I'd love to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos of mine. And if you can't get enough of me, I have a monthly newsletter, and in that I don't just talk about beauty, fashion and lifestyle, but I also talk about books, music, podcasts, film, theatre and all the other bits and bobs that make our lives worthwhile. And thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me, it really does. And I hope you're all doing really well, and I'll hope to see you in my next video. Bye!